Hey everyone, it's Kevin. I know I'm running a little bit late today, but I got out of work late and my Wi-Fi was cutting out. But I'm here, I'm ready, and I am gonna give you my 7 tips for keeping your pet hydrated this summer. Thank you everyone for joining me again for another, pet talk after hours. I'm Kevin, and I am here to give you my 15 years of knowledge into these little short videos so we can keep your pet happy and healthy for years to come. So I'm just going to get right into it. So let's see here. Oh, and before I begin, I don't have a guest today. Your guest is actually me. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. Also, if you can, like the button and subscribe. And if you, I don't know where you're watching from, if you're watching from YouTube or Facebook, but if you could subscribe and follow us, that would really help us along to help broaden our reach for people to give them some free information on keeping their pets happy and healthy. So we'll jump right into it here. So these are going to be my tips for keeping your pet hydrated this summer. So as always, be aware that this is not actual health advice for your pet. You should always consult with your pet's vet before you make any changes to their diet or lifestyle. So this is just tips and tricks. So let's start off with how much water should they actually be drinking? So your vet will give you better advice on how to ensure that your pet is actually drinking enough fluids based on their age, their weight, and their conditions, if they have any medical stuff going on. But a good rule of thumb is that adult dogs need about 1 ounce of water per pound of body weight. So for example, a 35-pound dog needs about a liter of water a day. Puppies actually need more than that. So young puppies need about a half a cup, which is 4 ounces, I think, 4 ounces of water every 2 hours. So they're going to need a little bit more water than the adult dogs. Cats need a little bit less than an ounce, but you can still use that as a good rule of thumb to make sure that your pets are actually drinking enough. So all pets, they consume water differently. So for example, a horse is going to take in about 5 to 10 gallons of fresh water a day, while adult birds only need about 5% of their body weight of water. So, it's going to vary from species to species. During this show, I'm going to be talking more about dogs and cats, but if you have a question about any animal, feel free to comment it below. And if I run out of time and I don't get to answer them, I'll make sure to answer them after the show as soon as possible. So let's talk about the signs of dehydration. So you know how much water they should be drinking, but it's also important to know the signs of if your pet is dehydrated or not. So some of the signs include the loss of skin elasticity, which I'm going to go over with you shortly, loss of appetite, vomiting, reduced energy. Also, there's some physical signs as well. So sunken dry eyes, dry nose, dry sticky gums, and thick saliva is all signs that your pet may be dehydrated. So the best thing to do is to know your pet and know when something might be off, because no one's going to know your pet better than you do. So if you feel like something is off, it's best to start trying to figure out what could be going on. So what causes dehydration? Obviously not eating or drinking enough. But there's many factors to not eating or drinking enough. So just like with us, if it's too hot or too cold out, if we're maybe feeling a little bit depressed or anxious, that's going to cause you to not really drink or eat enough. Also illnesses like that cause vomiting and diarrhea, will make the body lose more fluids and just increase urination. All these causes of dehydration can all lead to a bigger problem as well. So if they have a UTI or a kidney problem, there's a lot of things that can be going on, and not just because of dehydration. But it's always good to know, like I said before, it's always good to know your pet and know when something is different and something is off, so you can start taking action right away. So you can always check your pet's hydration level. Like I said, you can check on their gums, check their eyes, check their nose and mouth. But there is a little simple at-home home check that you can do, actually. So they taught this at the Red Cross Pet First Aid course. I highly recommend it. You can take it online. I actually took it myself personally for any just in case situations at work. They teach you a lot of cool things, actually. So they teach you pet CPR, basic bandage skills, the Heimlich maneuver based on the size of the pet and stuff. But they also taught you about dehydration as well. So anyways, I got a little bit off topic there. So to check your pet's dehydration level, what you want to do is take your two fingers, your index finger and your thumb, and you want to pull up the skin between their shoulder blades. You want to pull that up so it's kind of like a little bit of a tent. And then once that is tented up, you let go and you see how fast it bounces back. If it bounced back really fast, that means your pet is probably at a good hydration level. If it goes back really slow and it's still tented, then your pet is probably dehydrated. And this is the first sign that your pet is dehydrated. So before I start giving you my 7 tips, like I said, know your pet. And this might seem really redundant, but if you feel like there's something going on, it's always good to check with your vet, because it could be something more serious than just regular dehydration. So make sure you know your pet, know your vet, and always gear towards the side of caution, just in case. So without further ado, let's get right into my 7 tips. All right. Thank you, Donna. Thank you for joining me today. So I'm very excited. So tip number 1, very simple. Always make sure there's clean water available. It's literally as easy as it sounds. A pet should never be without fresh water, even during the colder months. And, it's tough because they're not really going to be wanting to drink cold water during the winter, but you want to make sure that the water is changed out regularly, and you want to make sure that it's regularly cleaned to avoid any dirt or bacteria that may be growing in the bowl. The dog's dish and the dog's water bowl is always the last thing that comes to mind when people are doing their cleaning, but it should be regularly cleaned. Also, just know what their drinking preference is. Maybe your dog just doesn't like drinking out of a bowl. So, for example, actually, my wife and I, we both like the Hydro Flask, but my wife prefers the Hydro Flask with the straw, and I prefer just having no top of my Hydro Flask. Just like us, animals have their own preferences as well. So it's good to know their preference. Maybe they want like a motion water. Maybe they want something that drips down, or maybe they just, they need a raised bowl. It's good to try out different types of bowls and see if your dog or cat ends up drinking more water because of it. Also, just having water easily accessible. It's not just means like just having it in the kitchen and, making your dog truck through, 2 flights of stairs and going through 3 rooms in order to get the water. Sometimes it's just as simple as having extra water dishes around the house. Obviously, with more water dishes comes more cleaning, but it could entice them to actually be drinking more with the more water dishes throughout the house. So I personally recommend making sure you have at least 2 or 3 water dishes in the house for different parts of the house, and also having one for outside. Number 2 is to provide shade. So if you're outside with your dog and it's blazing hot outside and they're zipping around, they're having fun, their body temperature is going to start to increase as well. They need an area where they can actually reduce their body temperature and make them want to feel like they want to drink. It's literally the same as us. So the hotter it is outside, the more moisture you're going to end up losing. So you want to make sure you have a cool environment for them. even if you're at the beach or just in your own backyard, I recommend maybe setting up a tent or anything for them with a little clean water dish. Tip number 3, add moisture to their food. So dry kibble usually contains about 10 or 12% moisture because during the cooking process, especially if it has any rendered meat in it, they actually take out all of the moisture out of the protein. So if they're taking out all the moisture out of the protein, there's going to be no moisture left in that. So if your dog is strictly on a kibble diet, they're not getting necessary moisture out of their kibble. So you can always try to feed a little bit of wet food or even just a little bit of warm water in their food in order to increase the moisture intake. So canned food usually has between like 65 and 80% water. So it's always good. There's a lot of great canned foods out there. Triumph makes a nice, 3-ingredient canned food. Merrick makes one that's single ingredient. So you don't have to get something that's going to be, full of sugars and full of fillers and stuff like that. You can get something that's straight protein, but has all that moisture as well. Sometimes just as simple as adding flavor to their water. So just like us, we have all the little stuff that we can put into our water to make it taste like lemonade or make it taste like watermelon. And, sometimes they just get bored with water. You can add different varieties of products into the water. So like the broth toppers by Stella or the raw goat's milk. Raw goat's milk is awesome. I love the raw goat's milk. So you can add that into the water. And the best part about it is that these products tend to have high moisture content to begin with. So even though you're adding something into it, it's not absorbing all that moisture. It's actually, maintaining it. So you're not taking away water, you're adding a little bit more to it. So that could help entice any pet to start drinking a little bit more. So tip number 5, give them pet hydration treats. I'm going to just take a pause right here and say thank you, everybody, for your continued support. We're really trying to get as much information out there as we can to as many customers as we can. So if you wouldn't mind, we would love a like on this video, depending on what platform you're watching from. To subscribe to our YouTube channel. So that will really help other pet parents see the information that I have to bring. Because that's what it's about. We just want to give free information out there because it's tough when you're trying to Google it. There's thousands of different websites and it's hard to know exactly what to do. And sometimes it's just basic and you just need someone to tell you it's very basic. So thank you all for your support and I'll just get right back into it. I'm sorry. So give them pet hydration treats. So pet ice creams is fantastic on hot days. Especially if it's something made out of goat's milk. Like I said, the goat's milk is fantastic. It's got a lot of added pre and probiotics in it. It's very natural and goat's milk is usually lactose free. So be careful of certain pet ice creams though. There are some that I do not recommend. I honestly can't name them on this show, but there are some that are high in sugars and high in fillers. And obviously sugar can cause dehydration in your pet. So I don't recommend some of them, but we do have plenty of them at our store. And just make sure you read the ingredients. Wherever you shop, just make sure you read the ingredients and you know what you're feeding to your pet. You can also do treats that need to be rehydrated. So Noble is a great example of that. You can actually rehydrate Noble. So you can take a little square, which is almost like the size of a Kit Kat. You can put in a little bit of water. It'll absorb some of that moisture, and then you can give it to them as a treat. I mean, it's not a lot of water, but it is a little bit of water. It's better than nothing. So, and the last one is homemade popsicles. Everybody loves making homemade popsicles. I personally made homemade ones before with some of your favorite pet safe fruits and veggies, and freezing them up, putting them in water, giving it to them. They love it. I know people are probably going to comment that I did not put ice cubes on this. I personally don't recommend ice cubes. I don't like ice cubes for the fact that I've heard many horror stories of dogs like breaking their teeth and cutting their gums up, and ice cubes really scare me. If you want to use ice cubes, then I just recommend really watching your pet and making sure that that the ice cube isn't getting too sharp, because once they start gnawing on it and getting some of those sharp edges, it can really start cutting at some of the gums. Or like I said, if it's a really hard ice cube, it can actually break their teeth. If you've actually had an experience with this, comment below, let me know. Like I said, I don't personally recommend ice cubes, but I know some people do. So tip number 6, just avoid going out during certain times of the day. The sun is always hottest between the hours of 12 and 3. That's when the sun is at the highest point in the sky. So I tell people all the time, if you want to take your dog out for a walk, try to do it before work or do it later after dinner. Those are usually the best times to do it. So like if you take them out now, completely great time to take them out. Or if you want to do it first thing in the morning before the sun is completely up, once it's at that peak, you and your pet will start losing moisture and start becoming dehydrated. And then think of it this way: you could take them out at, let's say you take them out at noon, you come home for lunch, take them out at noon, put them back in the house at 1, and then you go back to work. Now they've built up all that heat, they've lost moisture, and now they're anxious as well because you're not home anymore. So there's a lot of factors that could be playing in just that 1.5 hour lunch walk. So it's good to maybe take them out just first thing in the morning or at night. I don't recommend between 12 and 3 when it's the hottest point of the day. And tip number 7, watch their appearance in the summer. So you can trim their fur. So there are some dogs that have really long furs, like Shih Tzus. So sometimes it can be uncomfortable, and also it can retain heat. So I do think that you should cut some of that fur, bring them to a groomer. However, I do not recommend shaving them completely. A lot of people will end up shaving their dogs and cats completely, but I don't recommend this because their fur is actually a natural sun repellent. So if you shave it off completely, they can actually get more heat going into their body. Think of it as us not wearing any clothes. It's the same idea. So they can actually retain more heat, which can actually raise their internal temperature. Also, they could also get sunburned. A lot of people don't know that dogs can actually get sunburned and dogs can actually get skin cancer. So a light shave is fine, but definitely don't do like bare bum shaving. So also watch their weight. Overweight dogs tend to be at a higher risk of heat stroke because carrying that excess weight can actually affect our ability and the pet's ability to regulate their body temperature. And with the sudden change in weather, this can cause heat exhaustion pretty early. And then next thing you know, they're, completely dehydrated. So it's good to make sure that you know their weight, don't trim their fur too much, but, just try to make it comfortable and make it nice and cool for them. Those are my 7 tips. But as I said in the beginning of this, know your pet. And if you think that your pet is dehydrated, it is always good to go to the vet, or at least call your vet. Your vet's going to know your pet just as much as you do, if you've been going there regularly. So it's always good to get, second advice, just in case there may be something underlying going on. So, all right. Quick and easy. Those are my 7 tips for keeping your pet cool this summer. If you guys have any other suggestions that I didn't talk about, I would love to hear them. You can either comment below, send me an email, or just tell me in the store. I love hearing new ways to keep your pet cool this summer, especially since it looks like it's going to be a hot one, since it was 90 degrees like 3 times last week. So if you guys have any other suggestions, let me know. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And with that, I won't take up any more of your time. Thank you guys. I appreciate the support. And I have another video. Actually, let me tell you this. I'm very excited about this. I have a video booked every Wednesday from now until September. So every Wednesday at 6:45, I have a video. I have a variety of different animals that we're going to go over. I'm very excited about this. So I have some more horse ones going on. I have some more dog ones, some cat ones. I even have some reptile and small animal ones. So I have a lot of great information. I have a lot of great guests coming on as well. Very exciting. So thank you guys for the support. And don't forget about our cinema, our carpool cinema that we're going to be having in a month. Yeah, July 10th, our carpool cinema. So we have a limited number of tickets. Each week I'm going to be giving away 5 tickets. And I think that is about it. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. Stay safe, stay cool, and I will see you at store.